Hello everybody, Lance here, and I've been getting a little too technical with the procedural mastery series, so in this video I'm gonna change the subject a little bit. And recently I watched the film Klaus, and I really loved the character design of this film. So in this video I'm gonna sculpt the main character Jesper from the movie Klaus. Now, with this sculpting, I have two references, one on the front and one on the 45-degree angle. I don't have the side and the back angle, so I'm gonna invent some details later on. Now, the movie Klaus is a 2D animation, and there is no camera lens or whatsoever. But since this is a 3D sculpting, I have to decide a camera lens in order to evaluate the form, the shapes and forms. So right now I'm using the default 50mm camera lens, but later on I'm gonna change to the 65mm camera lens. Okay. Now this is not just any sculpting video, because in this video I'm gonna take on a very tough challenge, and that is only use the grab brush, the clay strip brush, and the crease brush. I will not use any smart tricks in this video, and just focus on pure brute force sculpting using the simple brushes. Okay. Naturally, this will make things a lot harder and limit a lot of options. Okay. So now let's talk about why I chose such a challenge. Now this challenge is to prove a statement. Okay. There is a popular saying among professional artists and anyone who works in art in general, that a true artist don't blame on tools. Okay. Now this is actually a very true statement, but a lot of young artists kind of misunderstood the statement, and they say something along the line, you can't use a pencil to draw a colored painting, right? So naturally you have to blame the lack of colors, the lack of paint for your failure to make a colored painting. Okay. So that is a case of blaming on tools for the failure. But that is not the meaning of the statement. Okay. The statement means that with any given tools, as long as the tools works as intended and the area of work is within the artist's expertise, a good artist can make something good using the tools they have, no matter the qualities or simplicity of the tools. So a good professional artist can draw a good drawing using just a pencil. It does not have to be a colored painting. Just a pencil is enough to make some good art. So that is the meaning of the statement, a true artist don't blame on tools. So why do I try to prove this statement in this video? And that is because a lot of you are actually young or new artists, and at times when you face difficulty you have a feeling that it is because your tools are bad, but that is not the case. Okay, so let me tell you the story. When I started, my first tablet was terrible. It was small and the sensitivity was crap, and I have to press very hard in order to make the line thick enough. And naturally I felt like nothing is possible using this tablet, but I got better with it, like after like a month using it. At first I felt like it was impossible to draw a straight line using this tablet, but after a month of practicing, drawing a straight line is no longer the case. I can draw a straight line right away, and my first paid commission was actually made using that crappy tablet. Okay, so even with that crappy tablet I was able to create something nice enough that people paid money for. Okay, so when you fail to create a nice artwork, you have the tendency to blame on the quality of your tools, but it is actually just your failure. Okay, it is not the tools that make you fail. The tools work as intended, you just fail to use it to create something nice. And that is because you are not a true artist just yet, and you need to work more on becoming a good artist before you try to buy some expensive toys. Okay, so whenever I meet an artist who blame on the tools for their failure, I know right away that this artist is not yet a professional and needs more training. So that brings us to the subject of this video. Naturally, without the smooth brush, it is impossible to make smooth surface. However, even without the smooth surface, I can still make something nice. I can make something that looks like a rough clay sculpture of the character. Okay, and naturally, without using the advanced techniques, it is impossible to make high budget, high detailed kind of characters like a dragon with lots and lots of spike and scales and stuff. Sculpting using this technique, using these three simple tools, will take forever, and even if it is possible, by the time you finish the artwork, it no longer matter because it took forever. Okay, but even with these three simple tools, I can still create something nice, and that is the Jesper character from the movie Klaus. Okay, so with simple tools you can create simple artwork, but not at all bad. So that's about the statement, and let's talk a bit about this video. Now, normally I would love to work with more mesh density than this, but since I'm using three simple tools right now, it is much harder to control the shape. So I have to go from sparse mesh to more dense mesh later on. Now, of course, going from sparse to dense mesh is also the recommended way for beginners, because if you increase the density of the mesh early on, it will be very hard to control the bigger shapes of the model. But at some point when you get good enough, you will be able to control the form at any given mesh density without any problem. So that is my preferred way of working. I just subdivide the mesh more than usual and just treat it like wet clay and just sculpt using the clay strip brush. But yeah, this is not my usual way of sculpting in this video. So the sculpting took me about 1 hour and a half. So it's getting into the boring part where I refined the shapes now. So there is no new technique, just use the clay strip brush, the grab brush and the crease brush to refine the shapes and control the shapes as best as I could. And that's it. So I'm gonna speed up the video now. Enjoy. Now in the 2D animation, the ear on the side view and the front view have the same size. Okay, the size remain consistent on the front and the side. However, in 3D, the ear when looking at the front will be a bit smaller because it is further away, and when you look at the side, the ear appears bigger. So this is just how 3Ds work, and the size of the ear is consistent in 3D space. Right now I'm sculpting the ear based on the front view and set the size of the ear to match the front view only. So naturally it looks very big on the side view, okay? Alright, the face is in place, and it is still very rough right now, but I'm gonna clean it up later. And for now, let's move on to the hair. Now in the main render, in the main reference, there is a hat, but I don't want to make the hat, so I'm gonna reference the hair from the second reference image. Now this is a 2D animation, so this hair only works for this particular angle, okay? So I'm gonna create the hair based on this reference, and it will look kinda okay for this angle, but it will look pretty bad from another angle, but whatever. Now at this stage the snake hook brush will do wonder, but since I can only use the grab brush and the clay strip brush, and the the process of making the hair became a lot harder than it should be. But it is still possible, since the three brushes are able to create pretty much any shapes or form. Alright, this is the part where I invent some details on the back of the hair, the side and the back of the hair. Because in the reference there is no side view or back view, so I'm gonna have to invent some. And the next thing to do is to paint the color. And since this is a dynamic topology sculpting, there is no UV, so I'm going to paint the color directly into the vertex. I mean the vertices. The vertex paint eyedropper, the color sampler, is next to useless because it sampled the color of the pixel instead of the color of the vertex. So it's pretty much useless, and I cannot use the color sampler in this case. So I create a palette of existing colors and just sample from the palette. Alright, there you go. You can see this is the character Jesper from the movie Klaus, and I created this model using just the 3 brushes. There is no smooth brush being used in this process. There is no use of masking or any technical tricks whatsoever. This is just a pure brute force sculpting. Alright, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.